I think it'd be really interesting to kind of talk about the type of real estate that you guys buy. And my understanding is that there's really kind of two different types, kind of this Class B commercial real estate. And then I think you also do some self-storage, but I may be wrong on that. So like talk us through just kind of the various types of real estate you could purchase and why you're so focused on the Class B stuff.
Yeah, it's an honor to be on the show. We buy Class B industrial. And so there's Class A and there's Class B, and we really don't do any self-storage. But Class A is the best way you can think about it is it's the newer built stuff. This is the stuff that is that Amazon's going into that's 1 million square feet, that the large e-commerce businesses and the large companies are taking, large clear heights. These are huge buildings that are being developed. Class B is stuff that was built in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And by nature of when it was built, one, we know it's older, but two, these are the buildings that are in the middle of the city. When they were being built, they used to be on the outskirts of the city. But now that we're, 30, 40, 50 years later, this is in the middle of these cities and provide an incredible service to these mature neighborhoods around them. So I can start, that's a good foundation for what denominates Class A versus Class B.
Got it. So when we think about this, why is Class B so attractive to you? When people hear that, oh, Class A, that's where the Amazons and like all these businesses are going, 1 million square feet, like that's incredible. What is it about the Class B inside of these kind of city or urban areas that makes it such a great opportunity or kind of investment case for you?
So you hear the word last mile all the time, last mile, these really are the last mile. In fact, these are the last quarter mile. When you think about these being built in the 70s, 80s, 90s, they have thousands of homes within a mile of their radius. They have mature infrastructure. They have police forces and they have fire systems and they have everything you would need all around them already. Number one. Number two, the tenants in these buildings, they're not necessarily Amazons. These are the companies that provide the material for these cities to grow. These are the cities that provide the warehouse space for medical providers to hold medical equipment. These are the tenants that are often contractors doing the work on the buildings and the roads and the streets and everything that you can think of in a society. I mean, we're so in 2022, all we want to talk about is the internet, the internet, the internet. And while the internet's a big thing, most of your life is actually denominated by the physical world around you, the studio that you're sitting in, the materials that you're using, the food that you eat, the healthcare that you get. And so when I think about Class B industrial, a lot of these businesses that occupy these properties are the true American businesses that keep America running.
Yeah, it's fantastic to kind of hear it articulated that way. When you start to think about investing in these assets, I think what makes you all so special is you've really built a machine. Take us back to when you started Fort and kind of what was the initial starting point? And then how did you actually like tactically build this into such a machine where now you can scale so aggressively?
Yeah. I think something that's been important to me is I wanted to build a business that could survive me. And that meant there had to be a machine in place that if I fell over tomorrow and never came back to earth, there was something that would survive me. And so what was important to me really early on, I had a mentor tell me, and this is the case for any business, is your job should be to make yourself less and less relevant to the business, or you're not really building a business that has enterprise value and durable value. You're building a business that really revolves around you, which isn't a bad thing. People make a lot of money building businesses around themselves. But I didn't want that. I wanted something that when I was out doing whatever I'm doing, there was something working. And so I think it first started as a mental decision that that's what I'm going to do. I don't think a lot of people even get there. But once you get there, you start thinking about your day-to-day business as how do I do things that make myself less valuable to the business? It's not that I'm not valuable to the business, but I truly could fall over tomorrow and never come back and deals would still get done at Fort. And then really starting to look at businesses that have done it incredibly well. I think one of the things that if I had a strength is, and I would encourage more people to do this, is look at companies that have already done what you want to do and then try and emulate them and do the things, their best practices. Everybody's different. Every culture is different. But there's a lot of blueprints out there because real estate is an old industry. It's the largest industry in the world, like you said. You don't have to look hard to find companies that have done this. So my goal was, how do I build a company that can find deals, underwrite deals, buy deals, manage deals, lease deals, everything without me being involved in any one of those things. And that really became the core focus of mine. And I eventually hired a CEO. So I'm now the founder, executive chairman. I have people that run every one of those things I just mentioned: leasing, acquisitions, financing, kind of you name it. And the biggest thing is they're all incentivized to do their job, do it well, do it with the team, and keep the company growing. And our friend Charlie Munger says, or maybe it's Warren, show me the incentives, I'll show you the outcome. And that's really been my entire focus over the last 5 years, is replacing myself and building a machine that could live on beyond me.
So when you think about this, and you get started, I think it's a really important point of like, hey, I want to build a machine that survives me, right? I think that's like a great call out. When you get started, is it just like, hey, we go do one deal and you are basically 100% of the team and over time you just organically grow? Or is it something where in order to do this successfully, you actually raise outside capital from like an equity standpoint? You say, okay, to do this correctly, you have to start with the team and almost lessen the dependence on you on day one. Like, how did you think about kind of where you get started with how dependent the business is on you, and then the transition to where you are now, where it's basically not dependent on you at all?
Yeah. So as I recall, you worked at a hedge fund, am I right? Or a big financial firm. So you'll relate to this. A lot of people start in the deal business or the investment business because they're good at investing in something. But being really good at investing in crypto does not make you good at building an organization that has an HR department and an accounting department and all of these people. They're actually two completely different things. And very few people actually realize that. So now I'll speak about real estate, but you can relate this to almost any investment type of firm, no matter what you're doing in investing. Most people get in, they're really good at doing deals. They start, they do 3 or 4 deals. Maybe they hire an assistant and a couple wingmen to kind of help them do deals. But the key thing here is the person leading the charge is really a deal person. They're great at investing in real estate. They're great at finding deals. Then all of a sudden they look up one day and they're like, oh man, we have 5 deals. All of my time is consumed now managing these deals, managing the few people that I have. We don't really have a culture. We have no processes. We're just deal people. That is where most people stall out. Or they don't really know that they're trying to build a company, so they stay that way forever. They buy a deal, they sell a deal. There's an inflection point that happens when you go, I don't want to be just a deal person. I want to build a deal company. And the backbones of any company, Pomp, are the same in a lot of companies. You have an accounting department, a finance department, an HR department, all the things that are like, I don't want to say the boring parts of the business, but they're the administrative parts of a business that make businesses run. And in fact, they become the largest part of the business. So my point in saying all this is there comes a fork in the road where you say, do I just want to be this kind of deal shop with a few people? We don't really have a ton of processes. We're just doing deals. And if I go away tomorrow, the whole business goes away. Or do I want to build a company that does deals? And making that distinction is a critical juncture in the road. Not a lot of people do it. And that requires hiring a person or partnering with a person like who's now my CEO. All he worked on for 6 years was actually building a company. And we just so happened to be buying a bunch of real estate. But there was a conscious decision. We're going to get really good at doing deals, but we're going to build a company.